ਸਾਧ ਸੰਗਤ ਜੀ ਗੱਜ ਕੇ ਫਤਿਹ ਬੁਲਾਓ ਜੀ। ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕਾ ਖਾਲਸਾ ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕੀ ਫਤਿਹ। ਸਾਧ ਸੰਗਤ ਜੀ ਮੈਨੂੰ ਆਖਿਆ ਗਿਆ ਹੈ ਨੌਜਵਾਨੀ ਨਾਲ ਪੰਜਵੇਂ ਪਾਤਸ਼ਾਹ ਦੀ ਸ਼ਹਾਦਤ ਤੇ 84 ਦੀ ਨਕਲਕੁਸ਼ੀ ਬਾਰੇ ਵਿਚਾਰ ਸਾਂਝੇ ਕਰਨ ਲਈ। ਇਸ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਖੁਦਮੁਖਤਿਆਰੀ ਦੀ ਅੰਦੋਲਨ 'ਚ ਨੌਜਵਾਨੀ ਦੀ ਭੂਮਿਕਾ ਤੇ ਜ਼ਿੰਮੇਵਾਰੀਆਂ ਬਾਰੇ ਵਿਚਾਰ ਅੰਗਰੇਜ਼ੀ ਵਿੱਚ ਕਰਾਂਗੇ। ਉਹਦੇ ਲਈ ਖਿਮਾ ਦੀ ਜਾਚਕਾਂ। More than 400 years ago, Jahangir thought that he could extinguish the light of Sikhi. So he arrested Guru Arjan Dev Ji. He sat him on a burning hot plate and poured red hot sand over his body. They believed by inflicting the ultimate pain, they would break the spirit of the Sikhs. But as his flesh burned, Guru Sahib sat in perfect peace, uttering the words, Tera kiya mitha lage. Sweet, sweet is your will, Vaheguru. Guru Sahib's martyrdom taught the Panth that spiritual purity alone cannot survive in a world ruled by tyrants. When Guru Har Gobind Ji became the 6th Guru, he did something revolutionary. Wearing 2 swords, Miri, representing spiritual sovereignty, and Biri, temporal sovereignty, he transformed Sikhs into a community of Sant Sipahi, saint soldiers, who could wield spiritual devotion to defend justice in the worldly realm. Guru Har Gobind Patsha showed us that if you only focus on bhakti and cannot defend yourself, the tyrant will crush you. If you only have power but have no spirituality, you become the tyrant. The Sant Sipahi walks the middle path, blending devotion with sovereignty and spirituality with responsibility. The historical lineage that connects Guru Arjan Dev Ji, Patsha, to Sant Bhimrao Ji, to our Shaheeds, are all defined by one single truth: the refusal to submit to tyranny. The empires of the past have been replaced by a modern regime, but the structural violence, the forced assimilation of Sikhs, the tyranny against the Panth has never stopped. In June 1984, the Indian state did not connect a surgical military operation. They engineered a slaughterhouse. They trapped thousands of families by imposing curfew. They cut off lifelines in Darbar Sahib. They blew up water tanks in suffocating June heat. They shot women and children who crawled toward the Sarovar out of thirst. They tied the hands of our youth behind their back and shot them, executed them in cold blood. Before loading these bodies into trucks for mass cremations. When a state treats your women, your children, your babies with such calculated cruelty, it is forced to forfeit any claim to legitimacy. This is our resistance, is not just a response to a single event of 1984, of the attack by the Indian Army. It is a rejection of a system that has never repented its crimes against humanity. The Indian government's genocidal intent did not vanish with the smoke of the 1980s. It was woven into the smoke, into the fabric of the Indian nation state, transforming from mass massacres into an organized, calculated war of attrition. Today, we must recognize all of oppression, all of the modern forms of oppression across Punjab. The state routinely jails journalists, blocks news and digital media, and criminalizes even the utterance of Khalistan. Extrajudicial assassinations are carried out now on our doorstep in the US, in Canada, across the world. Shaheed Avtar Singh Khadda, Shaheed Paramjit Singh Panjwar, Shaheed Hardeep Singh Nijjar gave their lives pursuing the dreams of a Sikh homeland. To this day, Punjab's water is systematically diverted to neighboring desert Indian states, violating international riparian law. Delhi actively corrupts Sikh history from textbooks while deliberately weaponizing a drug epidemic to paralyze the political will and consciousness of our youth. The state operates a corrupt dual legal system that holds our Bandi Singh hostage decades past their legal sentences have been served, while weaponizing draconian laws without due process. 42 years after the genocide and enforced disappearances, the Indian state still protects its mass murderers and rewards security forces for slaughtering Sikhs. Economically, Delhi intentionally isolates Punjab by starving it of industrial infrastructure and blocking our natural trade routes to Central Asia, forcing Punjab into complete artificial dependency. The state treats Punjab like an occupied territory, periodically cutting off mobile internet for tens of millions of citizens to blindfold the international community from witnessing their violence. To this day, the central government infiltrates internal election machinery of SGPC to control our most sacred religious institutions and castrate the Panth's independent decision-making authority. The Indian state has deliberately engineered economic neglect to force a mass exodus of our youth to exile and simultaneously dilute the Sikh electoral and political power in their only home state in Punjab. So many ask, why can't we simply work with India within the existing federal structure to invoke greater autonomy for Sikhs? When a state weaponizes its courts to jail our political prisoners indefinitely, when it destroys our economy to force our youth into exile, and when it sends assassins across oceans to silence our voices, it is no longer a government. It is an occupying force. And that is why the solution can never be to adapt to India, but instead to build our own sovereign future. So what does it mean in this day and age? What does it mean to be Sant Sipahi? When confronted with these vast and powerful mechanisms of control, the sword of Miri has taken a new shape. Now, your sword is your voice. Now, your sword is your education. Now, it is your pen, your camera, your art, your writing, your political engagement, whatever you can manage to offer the Panth. Pick your battlefield and master it. A victorious resistance requires an ecosystem of highly skilled professionals using their expertise toward a common goal. So when our community faces assassination threats, our response must move past immediate outrage. We must engage our lawmakers, lobby our governments, and demand that Western nations hold authoritarian states accountable. Fund Shaheed Parivars for those Shaheed families who have sacrificed their all so that the Panth could flourish. We must take direct responsibility of their well-being. We must finance their welfare, their education, their healthcare, their ongoing legal battles. We need to align our struggle with other oppressed communities so that international human rights bodies can build a unified global front for self-determination, and ultimately, we can move towards the realization of Sarbat Dapala. We must also weaponize our education, which means we must master our history and philosophy to critically confront and dismantle state-sponsored narratives in our universities and our workplaces. As voting citizens, leverage your power in the diaspora to pressure your representatives, demanding immediate policy consequences for foreign transnational repression. And as a community, we must strive towards economic independence to fund and support those organizations and individuals on the front lines. Most importantly, we must mobilize our women and girls. Place Sikh women and girls at the absolute forefront of our political organizing, because this liberation movement will not succeed without the lifeblood of Mai Bhago's legacy leading the charge. Sad Sangat ji, in conclusion, we are the descendants of a history that has survived empires, forced assimilation, and systemic violence. We do not plead for justice from the perpetrators of genocide. We assert our inherent right to self-determination granted by the Chheme Paatshah. Commit yourselves to institutional literacy. Vote, write, advocate. Build the infrastructure for human rights. Bring the synthesis of meaty and beaty into your universities, your courtrooms, your halls of political power. The struggle for justice is a multi-generational struggle. Let us step forward with absolute clarity, complete unity, and an unshakable chardikala. Vaheguru ji ka khalsa, Vaheguru ji ki fateh.